Islanders, Devils, Predators, Penguins, Bruins, and the Washington Capitals playoff implications galore here today on a Monday in the NHL. Guys, welcome into PuckTime, powered by WagerTalk TV. We're going to give our thoughts on a bunch of really meaningful games here today in the NHL. And guys, the playoffs are almost here. I'm Andrew, of course, and I have Carmine and Bianco with me. And Carm, it's a pretty good day in the NHL, man. It might be a Monday, but some very meaningful games. How was your weekend, and what are your thoughts on the opening game between the New York Islanders and New Jersey Devils?
Yeah, weekend was pretty much a stalemate. It would have been better if the Colorado Avalanche didn't blow a 3-0 lead in the third period in Vegas. It would have gave me a sweep on the Sunday card in hockey, but this is why they play the games. And there's some big ones today. This whole week, Andrew, we're looking at teams like you look at the Islanders, Pittsburgh, Washington, Boston, like so much to play for with the games that we're going to discuss on today's card. And the first one up is the Islanders and Devils. You look at this one, and Andrew, I looked at this one, and I'm going in a different route here as far as I lean one way, obviously, on the side. I think the Islanders are the play here. The goalies are named in this one already. It's going to be Jake Allen. It's going to be Varlamov. Varlamov's well, the Islanders are 6-0-1 their last 7. They lose that game against the New York Rangers where Shesterkin stole that game. He absolutely stood on his head in that game, kept the Rangers in it until they could tie it up and then eventually win it in OT. But Varlamov, we talk about Sorokin all the time, and I talk about Sorokin because I love the guy as a goalie. But Varlamov is 5-1 his last 6 games, and he's one of the reasons why these guys are competing right now for a playoff spot. They literally clinch with. There's different scenarios for the Islanders tonight as far as clinching, Andrew, but an outright win gets them in there. If they defeat the Devils, or if they get 1 point and one of the two things happens. The Red Wings lose to the Montreal Canadiens in any fashion, or the Capitals lose to the Boston Bruins in any fashion. So there's different ways for the Islanders to get in, but they're in a good spot tonight. And I think if they win, they actually clinch the number 3 seed in the in the Metro, which unfortunately means they're going to play likely the Carolina Hurricanes in the first round of the playoffs, unless the Carolina wins their last game against Columbus, and the New York Rangers sort of they drop points. I was going to say shit the bed, but against the Ottawa Senators in their final game. But it looks like the Rangers are set to clinch first spot. I'm looking at the under here, Andrew, mainly because it's the Devils' final game of their at home for them in front of their fans. But it's been a horrible season for this team. They haven't played well all season long. They just don't score goals when Jack Hughes is out. And I get it. They went into Toronto and they won a game 6-5 against the Leafs, but they also lost a 1-0 game to Philadelphia. I want to throw the Leaf one out, the 6 goals that they scored, because we saw Detroit go in and score 5 goals this past weekend to beat the Leafs. The Leafs goaltending is something we'll discuss at a different time. But even though the Devils are 7-2 to the over their last 9, I like the under here because my thought process is the team that dictates how this game is played is how it's going to go. If you like the Devils, you're going to take the over. If you like the Islanders, I think you need to take the under. And the Islanders are playing such great hockey right now that I don't know how you don't take them. I don't know how you don't take the under in this game. It's at 6, and 6 can get there so many different ways. But I have to take the under in this one, under 6, and I'll look at one of those 4-1 type games for the New York Islanders tonight. What are your thoughts?
Carm, we share a lot of the same thoughts, man. We're on the same page, I think, in a lot of stuff here in this game. We've got the Devils, who have just overall struggled to score at home, just 7 goals at home for them in their last 4 home games. And this is an Islanders team here that's been picking up their scoring. I mean, they've been scoring a lot more. And as far as the Devils, I talk about their defense not being great and their scoring not being great, but realistically, they've been so inconsistent that they're not really a team you want to bet on. And now here's the thing, Carm. This is game number 82 for the New Jersey Devils. And we're going to see that for a lot of teams over the next few days, breaking down on Puck Time. Usually teams right now are on game 81 or they're on game 82. So the final game of the season. So Carm, something that you always mention is, obviously you want to end the season off on a good note, right? You want to end the season off on a good note. You want to leave a good lasting impression to the management, to your coaching staff going into the next training camp, into the next season. However, do we really think that right now the New Jersey Devils players are as eager to block shots, to dive in front of a puck, to make that extra play as the New York Islanders are instinctually right now? And that's really the question we have to ask ourselves. But I tweeted out something over the weekend, Carm. I'm not sure if you saw it. And I know you're not too active on X there, but I pretty much just tried to stir the pot up. And I said, is there any worse team to watch in the whole NHL than the New York Islanders? Because when they're playing at their best, they are just playing a defensive game and they're just getting on the board and protecting the lead. And sure, they've had some games this year where they've scored some goals, but we all know what they do. They get a lead, they protect it. And I know that it's, we've talked about it on the show all the time, and I'm curious what you guys in the comment section and live on Instagram and YouTube Shorts, what do you guys think about this? But I still believe that there should be some type of change to the point system in the NHL, because what's happening is if you like to bet on draws and overtimes, because there's probably going to be at least one tonight, in one of the 3 games that we talk about, I bet you there will be a draw. Some of these teams, if they get tied 2-2 and there's 10 minutes to go, they are parking the bus, Carm, and trying to earn 1 point. And I don't really like that about this Islanders team. But as you mentioned, the team that we think will play the best, which I think you and I both agree is New York, will dictate the pace. So overall, I was actually looking at taking the team total under 2.5 for the Devils at plus 105. I like the Islanders in the money line. I like the under overall, but because I like the Islanders money line and I'm seeing minus 120, 125 now, I decided to look towards the team total under for the New Jersey Devils. As you guys know, on a large part this season, a lot of times when I like the team, I was betting the team total overs, but that's not the case. When you like the New York Islanders, you probably will expect them to play a very strong defensive game. And Carm, as I mentioned, looking at some of the statistics here for this team, we've seen the Devils lose 3 of their last 4 games, 4 straight home games, and only 7 goals in their last 3 home games they've scored. So it's been very frustrating for them. Part of us could think that, hey, it is their last game of the season. They want to leave a lasting impression, but maybe that lasting impression is a defensive battle, is showing to their coach, hey, we've got the will. We're going to try and go off on a good note. I don't think their lasting impression will be their offense explodes tonight. I think it's going to be maybe if we do get anything out of the Devils, it will be a good defensive effort. So, and realistically here, Carm, you talked about the goaltending situation with Sorokin and Varlamov. I love it, man. I think it's so interesting because down the stretch, look at the Penguins. We'll talk about them. Nedeljkovic has all of a sudden become the number 1 goalie, and Tristan Jarry was the number 1 all season long. It seems to happen for all kinds of teams. They find a guy like Binnington, what happened a few years ago. You always reference that with the Blues, and all of a sudden he kept the number 1 job. So they gotta stay with whoever's hot.
Yeah, it was always going to be a too little, too late, Andrew, for the New Jersey Devils. Unfortunately, too little on firing Lindy Ruff. They just weren't playing for him. We saw teams making coaching moves and winning games and getting better. A case in point, the Edmonton Oilers, for the short term, Minnesota as well too. And then how many teams do you know, when we talk about goaltending, how many teams do you know that literally got rid of both their goalies during the regular season and traded for 2 other goalies? The goaltending in New Jersey has not been good. It was pretty good in the playoffs last season when they made a run, and now they missed the playoffs. And you wonder, and going off on a bit of a tangent, you start to wonder about other teams that are in the playoffs. And how comfortable, Andrew, are you if you are? I'm going to name a few teams. How comfortable are you right now if you're a Colorado Avalanche fan because Georgiev has not looked good of late. He didn't look good in that third period. He could have made the stops and helped that team. Didn't look good. Um, there's no really good two goalie combos for these teams that I'm mentioning. How do you feel about the Toronto Maple Leafs? Joseph Wall and Samsonov because he looks like he's struggling a little bit. These are teams when you look at them and you start to wonder. You look at the teams that have great, I'll call them great, as far as the season goes. Two goalie combos. You have to talk about the New York Rangers, and they're first for a reason. Quick, Shesterkin. Then you look at Kochetkov and Freddie Anderson, another good combo. If one guy goes down, you have another guy who can step right in. Those are the good combos. The Dallas Stars, maybe not Wedgwood, but obviously Ottinger is the number one. It's the teams with Andrew without the goalies, and you got to wonder come playoff time if it's going to come back to bite them in the ass. And there's some bad ones, and that's the story with the Devils. Boston Bruins, Swayman and Allmark, good. Varmolov and getting back to this Islanders team, Andrew, Varmolov and Sorokin are a good combo because if you need to pull one, the other guy's going to step right in there and he's going to be solid. And it's going to be interesting. If they win tonight and they lock up that number 3 seed, they play the Carolina Hurricanes, as I said, in the first round of the playoffs. And they beat them 2 out of 3 times, beating them both times in Carolina. I get what happens during the regular season doesn't always carry over. But to your point of who wants to watch the New York Islanders in the playoffs? New York Islander fans, because they have a team that's built to possibly upset somebody in the first round, kind of like what Florida did to Boston last year.
I'm always just stirring the pot up, Carm. I'm just mixing things up, trying to get the fans going. But hey, they're built for the playoffs. I've taken them on serious wagers before because of that reason. Just get in. All you got to do is get in there. And man, I'll tell you what, though, I'll have some really good naps during that series of the Hurricanes and the Islanders, man. I'll be able to sleep for the first 2 periods, wake up for the third, and catch all the action. Carm, real quick, I want your thoughts on this. Like, do you, everything you just said, I agree with about depth at the goaltending position. But I'm a big fan of you have to know who your number one is going into the playoffs. And I thought that last year that was a big problem for the Bruins. Do you agree with me? That's kind of a problem at the same time as it's kind of a luxury because I believe that you need to know it hurts the team, in my opinion, when you're fluctuating too much, who's out there. And, I've talked to coaches, for different sports in my personal life, and it actually hurts the team when you don't recognize, okay, this is going to be our starter. People like to know who's out there. And I feel like with Swayman, Allmark, Varlamovs, the whole situation there, I get what you're saying, but do you think going into the playoffs that if a guy has a rough game 1, he should be in the back of his head worried about not starting game 2?
7-game series. If a guy has a rough game 1, Andrew, I wouldn't change him up for game 2 because I think that's where the problem comes in. If the guy has a rough game 2 and you're down 2-0, you're still in the series, albeit in a very tough spot, having to win 4 of the next 5 games. But I think if you're making those quick pulls, it obviously worries the players. I think as far as the Boston Bruins go, I have to believe Swayman's got to be the number one. I think he's played better down the stretch. You look at the Islander one, that'll be the tricky one. I talked about the Sorokin splits. He's much better at home than he is on the road. Maybe that's why Varmolov's in goal tonight, and he's on a good run, 5-1. I have to believe that when the playoffs start, it's going to be Sorokin that starts in the playoffs. But we'll have to see. But getting your guys, especially these 2 goalie tandems, getting your backup goalie a little more action in the last month or the last week of the season, I think is important. Carolina, I have to believe, as good as Kochetkov has been, it was always going to be Freddie Anderson's spot. I have to believe that he'll be the starter as far as this team goes. We'll see if he starts the last game against Columbus for them, but I think that's all dependent on what the New York Rangers do in their game against the Ottawa Senators as well too. So We shall
Yep.
see, but I'm not really worried about the what the players think. I think the coach normally goes with the guy with the hot hand, especially if he's been playing well over a stretch of a couple of weeks. I think you have to go with the guy with the hot hand.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm with you 100% on that. And man, Freddie Anderson has not missed a beat. Really quick, I know we're going long here, but actionable info. Nico Hischier under 2.5 shots on goal, plus 100, 4 of his last 5 games. Timo Meier under a point, half a point, plus 140, 4 of his last 5 games. Kyle Palmieri plus 210, guys. He has scored a goal in 4 of his last 5 games for the New York Islanders. So if you want to bet on the Islanders, you're taking guys like Horvat. You're taking guys like Palmieri. You want to bet against the Devils. Luke Hughes under on his shots, under 1.5 is plus 155. Timo Meier not to get a point is a really good price. So a lot of good prices out there, guys, for this this game here. Islanders and Devils. But thanks for being with us, guys. Please, if you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button. You can find us on Shorts. You can find us on Instagram Live. You can find us all over the map. WagerTalk TV. All right, Carm, let's keep this train on the tracks. The Pittsburgh Penguins taking on the Nashville Predators here. They're at home, and we always keep saying here, these must-win games don't always mean will win. And the Penguins, man, giving up 6 goals against the Boston Bruins. That certainly was not on their bingo card for Saturday night. Do you feel like the Penguins can respond and get back in the win column? Minus 135 favorites I'm seeing here.
Yeah, I think they do. You look at Nashville. Nashville's obviously clinched a spot already. I know that there's some positioning as far as like Nashville goes, as far as the wild card goes. Because if you look at Nashville, they can't finish in third in that Central Division that belongs to Colorado right now, and or Winnipeg. Those two teams will meet in the first round of the playoffs. So for them, it's whether they finish in 7th or 8th spot, meaning whether they're going to play Dallas or Vancouver. I don't think you tank a game. We always use the word tank, but I don't think you go into a game thinking, I wouldn't mind if we lost this game. So, we finish, 8th and play Dallas, or, I'd rather play Vancouver. So let's try and win this game and play 7th. I don't think that comes into it at all. I think the hungrier team here is going to be the Pittsburgh Penguins off that one, Andrew. And you look at Pittsburgh right now. So Pittsburgh's route, I think, is a little easier in that I believe that Pittsburgh, with 2 wins, they end up on 90 points. So and it's a big if Detroit or Washington drop 1 point, either one drops 1 point, and Pittsburgh wins out, Pittsburgh is going to get into that playoff spot based on the regulation wins for them. Right now, they have 31. They have the tiebreaker over Detroit. They have the tiebreaker over Washington. Philadelphia still has a slim chance, but only 1 game left. The Pens have just played so well. I pronounced them dead on arrival. I've used that one 3 or 4 times with them in the last couple of weeks, and they've just been winning games. I get it. You're going to lose games against the Boston Bruins, who are a good team in their own right, but Nedeljkovic has taken over that goaltending spot that you spoke about, Andrew. He's playing well. I feel like it's a buy low price. No disrespect to the Nashville Predators, but I have to believe that the Pens come out to play tonight. Sid's carrying this team. Every shift that goes out there is playing strong. So I'm going to take the Pens here. I'll lay the 130.
Carm, I'm biased, man, with my East Coasters, but this guy should be getting more love right now. And everyone talks about Matthews, McDavid, all these guys, McKinnon, but what he's doing for this team is unbelievable, almost single-handedly willing them back into the postseason. And I know all the PuckTime viewers know I'm a fan, so they won't take me seriously saying that, but it's unbelievable, really, what this Penguins team has been able to do. Whenever he's out there on the ice, he has been a threat. But guys, if you know me, I'm going to go right back to what I've been doing. It did take a hit over the weekend, but I think the unders in these games are what's winning right now. And I'm going to keep doing it for some of these games. We have seen some high-scoring ones, no doubt about it, but I think Pittsburgh, especially after coming off a game where they gave up 6 goals, now they get to play at home. and they get to have that last change. They get to get the matchup of their choosing. And to me, this is a Penguins team that plays much better at home for that reason right now, getting that matchup of their choice and being able to decide who goes up against who. And right now, this team has looked way better in low-scoring games, and the defensemen have really picked their spots when they've jumped up in the rush and when they've stayed back. And Nashville, as stated by Carmine here, they're pretty comfortable here. I'm not, for sure they're going to try and win. They're going to come out there and play Nashville Predators hockey. But let's not forget, I always call Nashville the New York Islanders of the Western Conference. Nashville has upped their scoring this year. They've gone over the total, actually, a lot more than some of their peers because they're getting sixes, sometimes 5.5s. They're not really a 6.5 team. But this is a team overall, when they get into the postseason, what are they going to do? Rely on goaltending, rely on their defense, try and get a few goals and protect those leads. This, to me, has that playoff feel to it, so I will lock in the under in this game. And, guys, a player prop for this one, which is a bit sneaky here, former Maple Leaf. We're going to look at Michael Bunting to record a point, will get a point, -105. He's got a point in 4 of his last 5 games, kind of flying under the radar right now for this Penguins team. As I've talked about, of course, Carlson playing well, Rust, Crosby, Malkin, Letang. But Bunting, getting a -105, +100 price here on a guy, certainly contributing to this team, getting a ton of ice time. And sometimes, Carm, you need those greasy goals, right? You need those garbage goals in order to will yourself into the playoffs. Well, that's a guy that does that. He's not afraid to get into the mix, go around the net and get in those dirty areas. And Michael Bunting to get a point. So it could be a goal or an assist. Carm is one of the favorite plays for me on this game. And, speaking of garbage goals, I was listening to a podcast last night. I saw one of the traditions, one of the crazy rituals that Corey Perry from the Oilers has before games. He puts his stick in the garbage bin, and he wants no one to touch it and throw it out, keep it there, because he scores so many garbage goals. Well, hopefully Michael Bunting puts his stick in the garbage and he can score some garbage goals for me tonight.
I love that. Everyone's got their thing, just like goalies. They'll sit in the stands and hours before a game, and they just focus on what they want to do. But before Andrew, before we get to the third game, which is obviously the Boston and Washington game, 6-60, final 6-60 of the regular season, went 4-2 on the weekend. A bunch of you guys, there was like 81 different comments. I absolutely love you guys for putting the comments in there, and for those of you that had some kind words to say for me as well too. Long road ahead for me, but I'm always up for a battle. Andrew, I picked a couple names out of there, and again, you didn't have to get anything right. You didn't have to guess the salami. You didn't have to guess the your best bet, whether it won or not. I just wanted you guys to comment on it, and we're happy 81 of you guys and gals did. I picked a couple names out, and I'm going to have some more PuckTime shirts. So I found a different supplier after that last guy took all my money and closed up shop. And so I'm ordering some shirts. So it'll probably be a couple weeks before I get them, but we will send them out. Darren Holm, Hoem. You're one of them, and Carla Frazier. So send an email to support@wagertalk.com. Just tell them that you're one of the PuckTime t-shirt winners. I will let them know, and then we'll figure out how to get the shirts to you. I will probably get them to the Detroit office, and they will send them and mail them out because you guys are in the US. So congratulations. And I'm going to have more shirts because Andrew and I are going to do some live in-game playoff hockey, right, Andrew? Is that correct? Some puck times
Absolutely.
during the regular season, during the playoffs. First intermission kind of stuff, guys. We'll talk about when it's a heavier schedule, 3 or 4 games. Starting at 7:00, we'll do a end of first period. We'll talk about some possible betting props for the second and third periods, and we'll give away some stuff as well too.
We got to be a goldfish. That is the moral of the story. Be a goldfish. It's going to be a long playoffs and a big week leading up to the postseason. Carm, I am discussing this game on WagerTalk today, so I'm going to get your thoughts. We got a Instagram comment here. Question is, Kane point plus Red Wings, same game parlay. And, you look at that game right now, the odds are quite heavy, right, in favor of the Red Wings on the money line. The price turns into minus 150, according to DraftKings there, if you add a Kane point. Do you agree with our commenter here saying that, hey, you add on a Kane point to get that nice price there on the Wings?
I like the idea of it. I don't know if it's a great price at minus 150 because you need two different events to happen in order to cash a 150 ticket as opposed to playing something, a single ticket at minus 150. But I get where you're going with this. If you like the Red Wings and you think they're going to win tonight, then Patrick Kane is going to be hopefully part of that and get a goal, an assist to get the second assist, anything that gets you a point. But what happens if Detroit wins and Kane doesn't get a point? You need a couple different things, and sometimes laying juice on 150ish on two things to happen is a little tougher. But Andrew, with that said, because we're not covering the Red Wings on today's show, but they are playing Montreal in a back-to-back. We will talk about it on the second show that we do, I believe, or the second game that they play. Andrew, come on, man, call your boys in Montreal, tell them to give it up, just pack it up, give Detroit the 4 points, in this home and away, and give them a chance to make the playoffs. Come on, man. We need to see some squids thrown on the ice, octopi, whatever. We need to see that in the playoffs. It's kind of like the Florida Panthers Stanley Cup run where they toss the rats on the ice. It's fun stuff.
Hey, if Detroit will be okay with Lane Hudson getting his first career NHL goal tonight, then hey, we'll see what happens. Let Lane Hudson play well for the next two games. The new up-and-comer defenseman for the Canadiens from Boston University, making his debut. If he plays well, then we'll see what we can do to get Detroit into the win column. But Carm, one more game here to break down. We've got the Bees and we have the Capitals going head-to-head here. I'm seeing minus 155 for the road team, plus 130. And, this to me, Carm, is the one where we say must win does not always mean will win. I'll keep it short and simple. This Capitals team, they're at home, closing out their season. I get it. This Bruins team is ready for the playoffs, and they're not packing it in. They're one of those teams. They are going to play until the absolute final whistle goes. And to me, this is a Boston Bruins team that I want to bet on right now. I want to bet on them in the playoffs, and I want to bet on them leading into the playoffs here. I like the depth of this team right now, the way they're playing, and this Capitals, I'm just not getting a good enough price on them right now in this spot here. I feel like compared to last year, when all we could hear about was the milestone, the record they were breaking, how certain players were playing. Have you heard one single thing about the Boston Bruins all year this year? Because I haven't. I haven't heard much said about this team. I've heard about Carolina. I've heard talk about the New York Rangers, right? No one's really given this team as much love. I'm actually willing to lay this price here, the minus 155 with the Boston Bruins. They are a really good team at shutting down top-heavy teams. And as I've mentioned over the past month on PuckTime, the Washington Capitals, you shut down their top three players, all of a sudden you've got nobody else rocking with them. So Boston Bruins, to me, on the road, I like the price. It's not enough for me to get involved with the Capitals. I will take the Bruins and also lean towards the under in this game. What do you have for us?
No, I feel we have, I feel the Bruins have gotten respect all season long because they've been a good team. They got off to another great start, much like they did last year, where they had a record-breaking season. I think it was. I think a lot of people tend to sort of look at what the Bruins did post All-Star break, where they were, as far as profit betting, 8 or 9 games after the All-Star break, they were 32nd in profit margin because they weren't playing well. They were losing games and not playing well. I think at the end of the day, that's probably what ended up. That's what ended up hurting them as far as winning the Eastern Conference, because they could have won the Eastern Conference if they didn't have that bad that bad restart after the All-Star break. And like Andrew, I think you're right in the sense of, listen, Washington, you got to give them credit. Um, 2 games left in the regular season, and this team is still in the playoff hunt and can still get there when everyone wrote them off, and I wrote them off as well too. I will always admit my errors on this show as far as writing teams off. But you look at it, you're only getting plus 135 at home. The team has lost 7 of the last 9 games, and I get it. They got a big win in Detroit, a game in which I think they stole the 2 points, but it doesn't matter. They got the 2 points in that game. Detroit made a couple of mistakes. Washington made them pay for it. They get the important 2 points. Had they lost that game, we'd be talking about a completely different game right now, because I think Washington would pretty much be out of this playoff race right now. And then they beat Tampa Bay. I'm not sure what to get out of Tampa. I think Tampa's now locked in and just gearing up for the playoffs right now. I just like the Bruins. I just think the Bruins are playing well right now. It's likely going to be Swayman. I haven't seen anyone named as of yet. Lindgren is named as the starting goalie for them. But you talked about it. They went into Pittsburgh against a Penguins team that has been playing extremely well, and they've been hungry, and they beat them 6-4. You go back, and that's 5 out of 6 wins for this Bruins team, with only that loss to the Carolina Hurricanes on their ledger. Their team playing well and at the right time heading into the playoffs. The Bruins are going to be a dangerous team in the playoffs, I have to believe, because they have guys on that team with playoff experience. So they're a very good team, Andrew. And I want to take them here because a win tonight for the Boston Bruins clinches the Atlantic Division. So something at stake for them, something at stake for both teams. But I'm going to go with the team that's been better all year long and take them in this spot here.
There's going to be a lot of people looking to bet on all 3 teams tonight, Carm, that need a win. And we'll stress to you guys, these teams that need a win does not mean they will get a win. And also look at the prices. Look at the prices here. Ask yourself if you feel like you're getting the best price you can possibly be getting on these teams that do need a win for tonight. And of course, as Carmine mentioned there, Boston clinched the Atlantic. There's certain implications, certain motivating factors for each team within these games. Even though they're not trying to make the playoffs, they're trying to put themselves in a different situation. Carm, today is the last day for a great deal. Buy a 30-day pass. We'll throw in an extra 7 days. So 37-day all-access pass, all sports. Buy 30, get an extra 7 on the house here, WagerTalk.com. We got the NBA postseason. We've got the NHL postseason. We've got so many sports going on right now. I'm super excited. So, guys, the long-term approach, 30 days plus 7, we'll get you involved in all kinds of different sports, lots of different actions. So, Carm, with that being said, what else are you promoting right now? What do you have going on? And what's your best bet for Monday's card for us here on PuckTime?
We're going to get to that in a second, Andrew. I have a question for you, Andrew. So, this question is for the chat as well, too. If you guys are watching now, or even afterwards, after the show, when the video is posted, drop a comment in the comment section below, and of course, hit subscribe as well, too. I want to talk about personal accomplishments, Andrew, or goals for a thing. So here's the thing: Austin Matthews, 69 goals right now. He was out there for like 3-minute shifts. Sheldon Keefe was out there. He played 24 or 25 minutes in that game. Now they head down to Florida to play Florida and Tampa, final 2 games. He needs 1 goal to get to 70. Listen, I would love to see the guy hit 75 goals, but At what point do you put the team before the player and rest Austin Matthews? It's kind of like the quarterback, Andrew, that on a team that is winning 40-0, and you keep him out there in the fourth quarter because 20 more yards and he breaks a record. Those are individual accomplishments. What if the guy gets injured? Then who falls onto the iron, or feet into the iron, Andrew, the hot pan? Who falls into it? The coach or the player who wants to be out there? Do you play Austin Matthews anywhere close to 20 minutes in the final two games of the regular season? And chat, let me know what you would do.
You know what I would do? I would call up Kyle Clifford from the AHL. I'd put Ryan Reeves in there. I would put all your toughest guys in there and just go out and cause a mess on that Sunshine State road trip, Carm. That's what I would do. Be absolutely physical. Last year, I was trying to look it up really quick, but I couldn't really find it. I don't know why this wouldn't pop up. I'm seeing November, and I'm seeing let's see here, 2024 score. I'm trying to see, because last year the exact same schedule happened, right? These teams played each other. The Lightning and the Panthers, the Leafs played those two teams to end the season, and they of course knew who they were going to play in the first round. When it comes down to it, I don't think it matters very much, because I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Carmel, see if you remember, I think the Leafs might have won that game. I think they won the last meeting during the regular season against the Lightning and the Panthers. It might have been, maybe not the Panthers, but anyway, my point being is, I don't think you want to show any of your tricks, right? Like, we see it all the time in the NFL, as you mentioned. You play a team that you know you might play in the postseason. You run a very basic and stale offense. Don't show any trick plays. Don't show anything you're going to do. In the NHL, I think it's the same thing. And I think that for Austin Matthews, it's an extremely exciting accomplishment. But when the coach comes out and says it's been a distraction, it probably means it's been a distraction. At the same time, though, he's been your guy. He's been getting you all these goals. And you know, the fan base is starving for something exciting to happen. I think it's unbelievable what he's doing. I think it's important for them to rest. If he even gets injured at all, what would Leafs fans be saying then? I think that's really an important factor. But at the same time, I'll throw it back to you, then we'll get into best bets. If you miss a game or two, you can't replicate gameplay in practice. So do you let him go out there and stir it up with the Panthers and act like this week is game one of the playoffs? Or do you rest him and get him ready for game one in the real playoffs? Because sometimes it's almost like you might as well just start things off right now. You know, Carm, that game they play against the Panthers is going to be as physical as it gets. So is it a bad sign that they rest Matthews? Then do they look scared? Or do they just throw him in the fire and say, this is what you're going to have to face next week, so you might as well get used to it?
It's tough. You know what I mean? Like, he's on a line with Domi and Bertuzzi. So anyone even takes liberties with him, Domi's going to be in there just like he was in the game on Saturday. I think Domi got like 17 minutes worth of penalties. So then Marner had to play with with Matthew. We'll see what happens. Like I said, this isn't me getting on the Leafs because I would love to see the guy get 70. I'd love to see him get 75. But he has a huge, long career ahead of him. But more importantly, the playoffs ahead of him. 24 minutes is too much, especially if you go back-to-back games, 24 minutes. I think if he gets the goal tonight, he probably doesn't even play against Tampa Bay in their season finale. Maybe you give him the night off. Listen, Connor McDavid has missed 3 straight games, and they're talking about with a lower body injury. He was on the ice. He says he's fine, but they haven't played him. They're already in the playoffs. They know what they're going to do. They look like a completely different team with him out of the lineup, but he'll be back in the game one of the playoffs. He'll be there. So, with that said, I always say you got to sort of protect your guys. It's tough because you don't want to get a guy only playing like 16 minutes when he's used to like 20 plus, but 16 minutes, Andrew, of game time is still good enough for a guy like Matthews, man. Hopefully he gets the goal early. early in the game against Florida, and then they can manage his minutes after that. But you always got to put the team first.
You got to put the team first, and you got to get over Florida, and that's going to be one hell of a series, that's for sure. I will say, it's kind of a shame that we've known the playoff matchups for so long here, Carm, but it is what it is. All right, I'll kick things off with best bets before I jump into it, guys. 5% play for me tonight that will be locked in shortly after the show finishes. I'm super excited about this. Had my eyes on this for a couple days here and really like this spot play, 5% play. And you can use the promo code AM15. That's AM15. Take $15 off any play, any package I have going today. AM15. Take $15 off my 5% play. All right, let's go back to the Islanders and Devils game. The first game we discussed. We're going to rock with a player prop here. I'm going to go under a half point. So Timo Meier will not record a point, plus 140. It's one hell of a price here, guys, for a guy that's really been underachieving this season. And I don't see why he picks it up right now. The Islanders are playing fantastic defense, and we're getting a great plus price on a guy to get shut down that has been struggling overall. I mean, a guy that's been on a team scoring goals, their power plays gotten out there and getting the job done, and he still has not gotten points on those goals. We'll go under for Timo Meier, plus 140, a great price there. And guys, once again, my best bet, big bet, 5% play, AM15 takes $15 off my 5% play tonight. Carm, over to you.
Andrew, best of luck with that. I should have mentioned that much earlier. So best of luck with that. Today, midnight is also the last chance to get that deal, the 30 plus 7, where you get a 30-day all access and an additional 7 days added on. So that's midnight tonight. So Andrew's got a ton of stuff, baseball, UFC, of course, and the NHL playoffs. So a good time to jump on that package as far as Andrew's concerned, or myself as well, too. A quick mention, the Prez also has a 5% play up in the NHL tonight. You can get that over at WagerTalk. And I'm sure he'll mention it at the top of the hour on WagerTalk today. I think he's back in town. Andrew, I'm, as far as what I have up at WagerTalk, this decision day 3-pack is what I've called the NHL. 3 plays I really like in the NHL tonight. Four great days of NHL hockey left. So let's kick it off this week with 3 winners on Monday night. My show free play, I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to take the LA Kings tonight. You got to lay a bit of a price on them. They're 165. I'm comfortable with that. 13-3 at home since mid-February. And those 3 losses came against playoff-bound teams, Dallas, Vancouver, Nashville. 3 teams playing some very good hockey right now. Not so great for the Minnesota Wild. The last time they beat a playoff-bound team was almost 2 months ago. They lost their last 3 games against playoff-type teams by an 18-4 margin. They're playing out the string. The LA Kings aren't. Give me the LA Kings tonight, minus 165 as your show-free play.
LA Kings. Carm, I'm cheering for that team going to the postseason, got that future on them, and hopefully they go into the postseason on a big note. So best of luck on that play. Best of luck tonight, Carm. Keep it rolling, my friend. Guys, comment below what you guys are betting on tonight in the NHL side. Total player props. We want to hear from you. Thanks for